Hi there folks, I'm Shaun Sunday and I'm here to talk to you about the 5e player screen. I designed these screens to help players rather than DMs. DMs already have a screen, why should they have all the help? These are designed with neurodivergent players like me in mind, but they're really for anyone who thinks they might need a little help remembering the rules. These are super low profile screens with handy info arranged by type per panel. So panel 1 is a breakdown of what you can do on your turn, including a diagram of the different kinds of dice so you can just match up the size and shape by label, and also a reminder to just try stuff and remember to always have fun. Panel 2 is a breakdown of just miscellaneous important information like death saves, exhaustion rules, currency conversion, a leveling guide, and those sorts of information that you might need during the game that doesn't change no matter how much you level up or what kind of character you're playing. And panel 3 is a breakdown of the conditions, organized alphabetically so you can find them easily, and simplified in a less complex language so that anyone can sort of pick up the gist of what conditions do and how they affect you or the creatures that you're targeting. The screens are all going to come in a nice little black carry bag like this, with a logo printed on the outside of my buddy Brian back here. They fold up for easy storage, like I said, they're nice and small, low profile. All the important information is printed on the inside. Cool mimic art on the outside. Folds away. And these are made out of the same sorts of materials as official DM screens for other games. They're nice and sturdy. They're UV printed, so they're nice quality. And they look cool. So please have a look through this whole campaign. I hope you find something that suits your needs, something that you like. There's some really cool tiers down there, including a private game for you and your party of either my setting, The Shifting Spire, or my short one-shot, The Hunger of Fur's Peak. Go check it out, have a look, check out the really cool Glowcraft laser cut rewards too, and thank you to the community for supporting me, and thank you to each and every one of you that backs this campaign.
Hello, we should be now be here. Hello, welcome to Band of Badgers. I am Dave, your host for this session, and joining us as our Q&A guest this session is Shaun Sunday from Brainbury Studios. How are you doing, Shaun?
Good morning. I'm awake. I have coffee, so I will be lively soon.
That is fine. It is evening for us here in the UK, so I'm having a beer because I can. And I hope your cornflakes are very nice. Thank you.
Yeah. One day we'll be in a similar enough time zone that I can join you for a beer.
That'll be good. We are planning, well, let's say 2022, if you can, we are planning to be at Gen Con. So maybe the way we can be in the same time zone is we both get on planes and we fly
halfway around the world and meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Basically, for a beer. And be the most expensive beer I've ever had. But we better make it worth our while.
Yeah, maybe next year if I can swing it, I can get myself an invite to Thought Bubble or something, and just come to the UK.
That'd be cool. That's wherever. Either's fine. You know,
Because Robin and I really, really, really want to go to the UK.
Definitely. Just we'll take you on a tour. I know Joe, who's in the audience, would certainly do a few pub crawls. we can arrange that. Now, before we get into this, also joining me as co-host is Steve. How you doing, Steve?
I'm great, thank you. I'm good.
That's it. That's the amount of love we get from Steve. There you go. Now, Steve is there to, if you have a question, you're in the audience, into Twitch live chat. If you have a question for Shaun, do let us know. Stick it in live chat. No matter what it is, we're going to do a variety of topics. All kinds of bits and pieces as you get to know Shaun. If you already know Shaun, ask something silly, it's fine. So we're going to get to know Shaun a lot better and ask him all kinds of questions, all his various projects, where he's been, where he's come from, where he's going, what's he up to, everything in the land of Oz. Okay, so do let us know. Now, for those of you who don't know, us as Band of Badgers, we support writers, artists, designers and creators, just like Shaun, across all of our shows around all the world. He's in Australia. We're here in the UK. We're singing his praises. We can do the same for you. So if you happen to have an RPG game or an RPG related product, no matter what it is, could be t-shirts, could be anything, could be pens, pencils, whatever, that you would like for us to feature here. We can do things like a live unboxing, we can do a Q&A, just exactly like this. If you happen to have a Kickstarter kicking off soon, we can help you with that as well. All you have to do is get in touch so we know about you, and then we can boost that signal as much as possible. Now,
step right up and join the Badgers show. You know you want to.
Just join us. That's all you have to do. And make sure you hit subscribe, because it does help. Honestly, it does help. Now, you can find, I mentioned YouTube. You can find all of our content on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/bandofbadgers. And as I said, don't forget to subscribe. We really need your help on that one. We're a small channel, but we're growing. And if you would like to support us in return, you can in all the usual places. We have Twitch subs, Patreon, merchandise, and even an Amazon wish list.
Yeah, definitely support the Badgers in any way you can. And I promise I won't use too many cursed filters when I appear on Badgers shows in the future if you do.
See, there you go. We can
That's not a guarantee that I'll use none.
Keep Sean good, and we got you. That's fine. We've got a question. So we've got a question straight away. That's come in, which is, we'll put it on hold for a sec because we want to first of all talk about, give us a little bit of background. Sean, who are you? Where are you? That's in Australia, and what do you do, Sean? Because you do everything.
It's true. Look, first things first, thing that I'm always very open about, and some of you already know, is I have hella ADHD. So that poses a lot of challenges, but also it means that I can't help but do a lot of things all at once. So yeah, I am Shaun Sunday. Actually, as of this week, I am finally, officially, legally Shaun Sunday.
Well done.
Robin and I finally got both of our name change certificates approved and sorted out and arrived in the mail. So we're both legally Sundays after getting married, finally.
Well done.
So that's a great news.
Yeah.
I'm in Brisbane, Australia, and it's wet and rainy right now instead of nice and sunny. Yeah, good game, sunshine state. But yeah, I'm a multidisciplinary creator. It's really hard to label who and what I am, to be honest, because I do so many things.
Well, I labelled you as creative genius. Because that was fine for me. I just thought, he does everything.
Yeah. That's delightful. Yeah. So like literally in this space, like what you can see surrounding me right now is a uni assignment. My first published comics work. The first paper mini I designed turned into a 3D mini that I printed life-size so that we could be the studio mascot. Our Mjolnir that I made, and then we went and got it signed by the cast.
Cool.
As I was showing Dave earlier, one of the prototypes for my 2 tabletop games. Yeah, I write comics, I design board games, I write TTRPG. Fuck me, it's still way too early. TTRPG content. I write comics, I draw comics, and I do actual plays, and just kind of anything else that takes my interest in the meantime.
Yeah. Well, actually, so you mentioned the time. What time is it there in Australia where you are?
It's 6:12 in the morning.
There we go. Dedication.
I've been up since 4:30.
Yep. Even set his alarm so he could be here. So
I set 2 alarms, and said, I said to Robin, I set the second alarm and looked at her at Robin and told them, the Badgers are lucky I love them.
Yes. We are. We love you too.
Because I set a 4:30 alarm and then a contingency 5 o'clock alarm, which, as it turns out, would have been too late because of time zones fuckery again.
I was going to say that's we love you so much. That's why we're willing to fly halfway around the world to meet you at Gen Con and buy you a beer. That we can arrange. Now we are getting.
I don't know, but the time zone's so much harder to work out because you're in tomorrow as well. It's that your brain
Yeah,
automatically
true.
works how to do it backwards.
Yeah. Well,
Easier
also,
than
like
doing it
Sydney and
forwards.
Melbourne don't make it easy either
No,
because,
no.
like, Dave looked up Australian Eastern Time, but
Yeah.
there's two different Australian Eastern Times. There's Eastern Standard, which is this side of the country most of the year. And then when summer hits, the bottom half of the eastern side of the country goes into Eastern Daylight.
Yeah.
And that is how I was almost late to my first ever Badgers game.
Yep.
Because
That's
I
good.
was making breakfast and Dave's like, hey, it's 10 minutes before we start. Where are you? I'm like, I thought I had an hour.
But that was also early days from one of our early campaigns as well. So that works out well. But these are the teething things you have to do when you're
Exactly.
when you're dealing with time zones, you're dealing with live streams, and trying to do exactly what we do, because you haven't just joined us, we've also joined you as well. So
yes, it was delightful to have you guys on for the first episode of that show. It was a shame I had to end it a bit early because of just everything that is this year and last year at the moment.
Yeah.
But it was a thrill to have you guys on the first episode. I couldn't have been happier.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was good. I still kick myself over not being able to solve that trap.
Well, now you need to explain it, Steve.
So I had a very, very set schedule for us to follow. So there's 10 levels and we had 6 hours. So it worked out we had half an hour per level. And we was bang on time. And we was doing really well. I think it was on the 5th level. We'd cleared everything to schedule, half an hour approximately for each one. Got to this one trap and it was a set of swinging battering rams, really.
Yeah.
With spikes on everything. We stood there trying to figure out how to go past. We already went down the other corridor and decided that wasn't a good way to go because it took us through a load of monsters in cages, which was clearly just going to open up and ambush us and stuff. And then we tried jumping over and failing miserably, climbing over and failing miserably, sitting on top of it and swinging along. And the solution was just to shoot the chains until they collapsed.
Yeah.
And we wasted, I think it was over an hour on that level.
It took you guys 45 minutes to get through that trap.
It was yeah, not my.
And I had designed that. I had designed that with Cork and you in mind. If Cork had swung his hammer at the chains, he could have knocked them out of the roof. If you had fire bolted the chains, you would have melted them.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun.
But we got to level 8, didn't we? We got to level 8. Did.
Yeah, my favorite reaction was Dave though when you guys noticed that the logs and like Dave's like, oh, there's something moving.
I was just trying to go your accent, your version of the accent.
I mean, I don't practice very often, but it's the nearest approximation. It's better than Americans trying to do an Australian accent. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Right, so we're gonna try and stay on topic. We got some questions coming in already. This is gonna go the way we normally go. So here's a question from live Twitch chat. What got you into role playing? So we are going to chop and change things, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'm adaptable. Well, look, honestly, I grew up reading and playing all of the Dungeons and Dragons media before I actually knew what Dungeons and Dragons was, and didn't realize that they were Dungeons and Dragons media. I was reading the Forgotten Realms books and playing Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dales, etc.
Oh man!
And
we're going off a tangent again now. If I start talking about that, so I'm going to put myself on mute.
No, but they were great games. That was the whole point of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love those stories. And then my brother-in-law gave me a copy of Hero Quest when I was 14. And I loved that. I would take it to school and we'd be playing it in the library at lunch and shit. And, I'd have a couple of free sessions in the afternoon for study. And I'd be in there playing fucking Hero Quest. And then when I started doing more different stuff as a creative, I started designing paper minis because I saw some and I was like, shit, yeah, that looks really fun. And I had an ongoing Hero Quest group at the time. I was like, yeah, I'm going to make my own custom paper minis. And then I started getting some 3D modeled via Patreon. Each time I designed it, don't do that. A new paper mini, I'd get it 3D modeled, and Brian was the first one, and get it made with a Hero Quest base. And then the D&D community started paying attention to them. And I was like, oh, okay. So, yeah, there's a lot of cool monsters in D&D. I should design some of those and like design my own versions of them. Like, yeah, but if I'm going to do that, I should probably actually learn a bit about D&D so that I'm not just taking this stuff and making money of it and not knowing anything about what it is or being a part of the community or anything like that. So I picked up the starter set, the Lost Mines of Phandelver starter set.
Yeah.
And Robin, our buddy Phil, and I started playing, and that was in 2018. And I haven't looked back since.
There's a few other bits as well, because since then you've done. So this brings us nicely, as a segue, into the Player Shield. Now the Player Shield is something that this is how I originally got in touch with you, I think it was, because I'd seen what you'd done, and you were kind enough to send me a copy. And since then we've got, you've done a second Kickstarter. I'm back on a second Kickstarter. We've handed them out across the Badgers Club of all the Badgers players. Steve, I've actually still got yours here. You're the only one who hasn't. We haven't bumped into each other yet to pick it up.
Yep.
All of these bits and pieces, the New World Diversion and the Player Shield. Explain how they work together.
All right. Well, yeah. Like, we started playing, and I have ADHD. Robin has ADHD and ASD diagnosis.
Yeah.
And we had our buddy Phil playing with us. We were all learning how to play at the same time.
Yep.
So I was learning how to play and how to DM at the same time so that I could actually run the game for everyone. And we found that we were having a real struggle with knowing all the rules and remembering everything. And I was like, okay, yeah, we'll try some cheat sheets. Didn't fucking work, because the thing with ADHD is short-term memory issues, but particularly object permanence issues. Out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. Like, there have been many times I've been, like, when I've been playing with you guys, and I have forgotten something that I had put aside for the game because it was just out of my field of vision. And then at the end of the session, I'm like, what the and we found that the cheat sheets weren't working because they were getting put like on the table or flipped over to scribble some notes hastily.
Yep.
And then once that's done, that's it. They don't exist anymore. So I was like, well, I've got this big fucking thing here. Surely there's one for players out there. Someone's got to have made something. And I looked, and literally all I could find was cheat sheets, but bigger, that people were gluing onto their DM screens. I was like, well, what's the point of this? Only the players to your immediate left and right are going to be able to fucking read anything.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they're neurodivergent or vision impaired from across the other side of the bloody table.
Yep.
So I started designing one of my own, and like, okay, what do I as a player want? Started doing some research with other neurodivergent people and showed it to a couple of friends, and they're like, I can't believe this doesn't already exist. Can you make this? Like, can you actually make this a thing that I can buy? Because I want it. I was like, yeah, all right. Let's do this. Let's do this for real. So I started contacting some suppliers and getting quotes and getting some prototypes made, and then it went to Indiegogo and made 1,000 of them. And then they sold out in November last year. So I was like, oh shit, people still want these. I better make some more.
Yeah.
So I did the updated 2.0 version for the Kickstarter. But the point of it is that since it's the screen, it sits in your field of vision.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't lose track of it and forget that it's there. And obviously, I've also then organized everything into information content categories and then alphabetize it as well. So that, like that was the thing I couldn't believe with the Wizards of the Coast DM screen, which is why I'm going to be designing my own DM screen, is that the conditions and stuff on there aren't alphabetized.
You just to quickly put in there, you mentioned you're going to design your own DM screen, which would be really cool. Are you still planning on doing the Pathfinder?
Yes, that's part of this Kickstarter. Cool. It's part of the stretch goals. At the moment, I'm finishing off the my content stretch goals and getting that off my plate. And then I need to sit down with you two and chat Pathfinder. Cool. I've been working on the art for that. It's coming along pretty well. I'm really happy with how the goblin face is looking, actually. But I haven't worked on it for a little bit because I've been getting the other modules finished. So as soon as those are finished, my live stream work for a few weeks is going to be focusing on the Pathfinder one.
Yep. Okay.
I just wanted to, I wanted to clear off everything D&D related for the Kickstarter rewards so that I could solely focus on grinding out that Pathfinder screen.
Yep. Nice.
Then next year will be a Kickstarter for a print version of that.
I was going to ask what comes next with the Kickstarter. So I mean, let's kind of change the channel on that one. What is planned for 2022? Because we've had different discussions about different things. Yeah. What's your current thinking for 2022?
Okay, so 2022 it's still sort of nebulous, but I've got some things that this is what I would like to do. Robert and I we're going to be getting like a massive whiteboard that we can plan out my year on. So we can make sure that I'm not double booking anything. But Shifting Spire is going to be an ongoing project over 2022 for publishing purposes, not for running. Once it's fully written and ready to publish and everything like that, I might look at doing another actual play of it.
Yep.
But right now I'm going to be just focusing on writing it and getting it ready to publish so people can play it. But 2022 is going to be a big comics and board games year for me. Duel and Dungeons that I just showed you.
Yeah.
I am going to be sitting down to finish that finally. Like last year was supposed to be me finishing that and Squirrel Wars, but when the pandemic hit, everything changed and I just had to go with the flow.
Yeah.
So trying to reskill myself and get a new day job where I could work from home was the main focus, and everything else came around that. So I had to focus on much smaller and more manageable chunks of projects, which redesigning my entire board game was not.
Yeah.
So in 2019, I went to PAX for the first time with Squirrel Wars. I got accepted into a showcase thing and got to take that down there and play tested that at the convention with all the con goers, which gave me all of the data that I need to finish writing it. Like it was already like maybe 85% ready because I'd been playtesting it for a couple of years at that point. And I really settled into a really good size and groove with it for PAX. And I had people asking me like, can I buy this? Is this ready? Is this going to Kickstarter? When is this hitting Kickstarter? So I'm like, okay, cool. So it's pretty much ready. I just have to rewrite the rules booklets to make sure that everything is clear, but the rules and mechanics as they are good. I just have to make sure everything's written nice and clearly and write in, because we actually added a new mechanic on the plane on the way down. Like we'd been trying to nail it for a couple of days. I'd had an idea just before we went down. I'm like, this is pretty good as it is, but I'm finding the games are spiraling out time-wise and going a little bit longer than what I'm designing this game to be played. So I need something to create a sense of urgency. So for anyone who doesn't know, Squirrel Wars is my board game that I've been working on since 2016. I got a lot of peers who make their board games a lot faster, but guess what? I'm doing the whole thing all by myself and I'm disabled. So mine takes as long as it takes. But it's a 4-player or a 2 to 4 player battle royale. And you each play a squirrel each of the 4 different squirrels have different special abilities. So the giant black squirrel is a tank.
Yeah.
The red squirrel is the only squirrel that can swim, like properly, so it can cross the stream. The flying squirrel can relocate itself. It can sacrifice a turn and relocate itself to anywhere on the board. Or it can sacrifice most of its turn and drop a rock on someone's head.
Nice.
And the ground squirrel can tunnel underneath, pop up behind someone, do a sneak attack, and return to its original space. But yeah, each player picks a squirrel, and you pick one of the trees in the corner, and then the aim is to either be the last squirrel standing, or to collect 40 acorns and get the golden acorn card out of the chance deck. If you have both of those things, you can surreptitiously win that way. But if people notice that you're stockpiling acorns, they might catch wise that you've got the golden acorn and try to steal it from you, because you can steal acorns from the other trees. And so to stop people from just running around the board, just picking up acorns and trying to dig for that golden acorn, which makes the game spiral, and try to encourage them to fight, we introduced Jason Voorgeese, which is the park goose.
Wow.
And so there's a countdown on the side of the board. After every round of turns, it ticks. And when it reaches the end, the goose comes out of the fountain and starts chasing whoever the nearest squirrel is. And we figured out a basic mechanic for this and added it on the plane on the way down, because we were trying to figure out how to make it work. And we had people going, "Oh, I thought this was just always part of the game. You only added this yesterday? What the fuck?" We're like, right, well, that fits then.
that works. So you mentioned...
Yeah.
A couple of things. I want to pick up on a couple of things you mentioned. So you mentioned your work with comics, and you mentioned the various day jobs. So I want to pick up on the day jobs, because you were at Ardent, you're now at Arkenforge.
Yes.
What's it been like? Because you've got that's basically a foot in the door with some nice companies to be associated with.
Yeah, it's great. Like, that's the work that I already sort of do for myself. So it was a really good chance to flex my muscles with social media and marketing and networking and all of that sort of stuff. I really enjoy the work. And obviously, as you know, I was already a fan of the product before they hit me up, because we used it for Shifting Spire.
Yeah.
You know? And they've been making amazing strides with new features and all kinds of stuff since then. You guys have obviously had a chance to have a look at some of it, but they just sent me up so I can make some more content for the social media, one of the tabletop kits that they use at the conventions.
Nice.
And I set that up, loaded up one of the pre-made maps that is in the software, and so fucking cool. With all the ambient effects that they've built into the pre-made map and stuff. And as you slide the player view box around, the sound of the fire gets louder as you approach the fireplace, and the tinkling of glasses starts to appear. And it's just so cool. And Robin and I are going to be playing Wild Beyond the Witchlight using it.
Cool. We
just as a one-on-one campaign. So I can't wait to build the maps in that. I've got all the base maps already, and I'm going to start building them and doing all the animations and enhancing them with that.
We had Nathan joined us last week, and
yes,
seeing and listening to that sound react, it was just incredible. It's very, very, very smart software. Very impressive.
There's just so many things that they're building into it that I can't wait to see them be released. I'm not allowed to talk about them yet, but there's some really cool shit coming.
You can always tease. It's fine. You're among friends. It's okay. We also mentioned comics as well. Now,
yes,
you also have your own comic live stream. You do comic artwork. We've also had a couple of questions in there about what's the best. What would you recommend for the best independent comic series for someone to get into?
Okay, so one that I'm going to say right now because it immediately comes to mind, and because this is a nice segue into my own work as a result, is a series called Crowded. It's really fucking cool. The art team are all UK based. So the penciler and the inker are England based. That's Rose Stein and Ted Brandt.
Yep.
I'm not sure if they're married or if they're just partners, but they're a partner, team, which is really, really sweet. They're lovely people. I've had them on my show that you were just mentioning.
Yep.
And then the colorist, Trina, is Irish.
Cool.
So Trina Farrell. And then the writer is American. And that's Chris Sabella. And it's a really, really cool series. It's set in a world where assassination is legal, but only through a Kickstarter-style crowdfunding site called Reaper. And once the campaign is finished, if you try to assassinate the target of the campaign, you will be arrested.
Yep.
And then there's another competing app called Defender, which is basically Uber for bodyguards. And it just follows the story of someone who suddenly a whole bunch of people have put out a hit on. And this other bodyguard who used to be a super highly rated guard is really down on her luck. And their stolen chihuahua, which is just named Dog. And it's really fucking funny. And the art is fantastic. And if you don't care about spoilers and you want to know more about it, go check out my series, No Capes, on YouTube, because I had some people on to talk about that. Who did I have for that episode? That's a good question. I can't remember who I had on for Crowded. I think it might have been D.B. Andre, who wrote another one of my favorite comics. See, just talking about this, like for anyone who doesn't know, I have a talk show called No Capes, where I sit down with a fellow comics creator. We pick a book that we've both read and we really love, and we gush about it for an hour. It's that simple. It's not an interview show or anything like that, but obviously my guest's work comes up throughout the discussion. But it's a chance for other creators to chill the fuck out for a bit and be seen, but not have to shill themselves.
Yeah.
They could just chill out and talk comics without having to give the same regurgitated answers that they have to give every time they do an interview about the same things. No, we just get to hang out, talk about what we like, and then I get to compliment them about their work in the process. And it's really fun. And I've had some really, really cool guests. Some of the people who've written some of my absolute favorite comics. And of course, I've even had the co-creator of The Boys and Happy, Derek Robertson, on.
Ooh.
And we talked about The Rocketeer.
Yeah. The Rocketeer.
And that was a really fun episode because like he knew the creator of The Rocketeer. So he had a really personal connection to those comics and the movie and everything. And it was just an absolute delight. DB Andre. I had DB Andre, who writes, he's got a new comic coming out soon, which the name escapes me right now, but he wrote another one of my favorite comics, Resonant. There we go. The name escaped me for a second. The old ADHD brain stuck. And that one's a really interesting book too. It's set in sort of a post-apocalypse world where there's something causing these waves that fuck up people's emotional states and like trigger the amygdala sort of thing, and make all of their most base violent impulses go haywire. And it's about all the survivors in that world, and they use cicadas to detect the waves. And therefore cicadas are a form of currency in this world.
Wow.
It's really, really cool. It's had a couple of different people on the art side of things. There was I've forgotten the original artist, but the second artist that started in is another person who I really, really admire, and does incredible work, which is Skylar Patridge.
Yeah.
Skylar is phenomenal. Skylar actually has done a bit of Marvel stuff recently. There was the sort of femme-focused Marvel Heroes book. It was
Yeah.
like an anthology book that came out very recently, and Skylar did the She-Hulk story in that, and it was top rate. But yeah. So sort of segue back to answering your original question, which is what's happening for 2022, season 3 of No Capes
Cool.
is one thing that is definitely happening.
Good.
Except this time it's going to be pre-recorded instead of live.
Yeah.
Right.
Just to make it easier for scheduling and everything like that for me.
Yep, we're looking at doing something similar actually. We're doing some pre-recorded shows and some live shows just because it takes the edge off. It allows people to kind of, okay, the people who aren't comfortable doing it live, it matches up with people's schedules. Because there's a lot of people to get around the table and games and even just hanging out. So, yeah.
Exactly. And for me, being in Australia, where there's not that many of us making comics here, and a lot of my guests are international, it's just a bit easier to make sure that the people that I really, really want to have on the show can be on the show.
Yep.
By doing it pre-recorded instead of a weekly live show.
Yep.
So season 3 of No Capes is going to be happening in the first half of the year. I'm going to try to cram most of the recording into January, February, and then just steadily edit them after that.
Cool.
So I am working. Sorry, you go.
No. This ties into the comic aspects and the artwork. Again, we're segued into different. There's so much content. Okay, you need to check. So Steve has kindly been putting all the live links to all of Sean's work and various sites and things. So do go check it out because again, he is multi-talented. Now we mentioned the comics. The comics is a segue to the artwork. The artwork is a segue to bring it back round to kind of something which we saw for the first time in the Shifting Spire. Which was your arse dear, and I don't. That's not in terms of endearment. I mean, when the arse dear, tell us a story about the arse dear.
All right, so it's so simple and so silly. It was just a ridiculous joke that came about accidentally in my home game. I don't know if anyone here knows of the Dungeon Dan podcast, but he had me on when I was doing the player screens as well and did an interview with me. And then we became buddies after that. And he invited me to join his home game because they'd gone fully remote because Corona.
Yep.
So I was like, yeah, all right, I'll join a game. And we played through Lost Mines of Phandelver and straight into Horde of the Dragon Queen. And now in Horde of the Dragon Queen, there's a bit where you're traveling via caravan to... Is it to Neverwinter or what's the other major city? Waterdeep.
Yeah, Waterdeep, Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. I think we were heading towards Waterdeep. And we sort of had to go off, and we were hunting some deer because we needed food. And now at this juncture, there's this big shiny gold deer, obviously magical, and all of the NPCs are like, that's going to be worth money. We're going to fucking hunt and skin that thing and sell the hide. And so the rest of us are like, no, you're fucking not. And went to go take care of it. But our Goliath barbarian was like, well, we still need food. So I'm going to stay here and hunt those normal deer. But what they said was, I'm going to stay behind and hunt those regular ass deer. And my ADHD ass, and because we were all excited and talking faster than usual, heard regular ass deer. And immediately picked up my drawing tablet and scribbled out the most ridiculous, just 2-minute sketch possible, and then threw that in the Discord chat. And everyone face palmed, but also cracked up. And I put it on Twitter. And Twitter was like, stats when? So I was like, all right. Went into this thing that I use called the 5e monster stat block generator. So helpful. It just lets you put in everything that you need and formats it to look like a proper 5e stat block.
And what we got as well is, so for viewers at home, the box below Sean, you'll see various images of bits and pieces that he's done. There is an image of the taxonomy of the R steer, so you can see it there. But Sean's actually working on a full document. So before we went live, back in our green room, we were hanging out, having a beer. Well, Sean's having his cornflakes, and he was showing this document he's working on. And yes, you are gonna love it when you get to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be ready very soon. I'm hoping to deliver it. It's part of the Kickstarter rewards, so I'm hoping to deliver it to Kickstarter backers by next week. I'm actually, like, if you want a preview of it, after we finish up here, go, fuck off for a bit, have a coffee, whatever. Come back at 10 a.m. to my channel, where I'll be doing my usual Friday stream, and I'm going to be working on it on stream. I'm going to be working on writing the lore for the Golden Ass Deer today. Once that's done, it'll just be finishing the layout and formatting and stuff and making sure the cover looks good.
Yep.
And then that'll be delivered. But what the module is, there's 5 different species of ass deer, and the module is written in as sort of a wildlife journal by a wizard that's researching these creatures. And so there's a little bit of lore about each creature and where it lives and what kind of demeanor it has and that sort of stuff. And then graphics and the stat block showing what it looks like and what it can do. I'm going to publish that. And then in another, once I finish all the Kickstarter stuff, I'm eventually going to get around to finishing drawing the reverse art of the designs that I've done of the ass deer.
Nice.
And publishing a set of paper minis.
Nice.
And of course, excuse me, if you head to my Thingiverse, you can download and 3D print a carnivorous ass deer.
See, so Joe, if you're still in chat, get your printer working.
Yeah,
you need
Joe, I sent you that ages ago. Where's my ass deer?
Yeah. We need some, because I like the idea of what you got behind you. So you've got like the Brain Beast logo, which you turned into a mini, but is now an oversized or life-size mini, if you like.
Yeah.
I love it.
Actually, honestly, it started life as the mini before it became the Brain Beast logo.
Yeah.
It was him being the studio mascot, which informed my rebranding.
Is that heavy?
No.
Is that solid, or is it just
it's hollow?
Hollow on the inside.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's about 3 or 4 mils thick and just hollow. I 3D printed it in 16 parts.
Wow. I've got something else to talk to you about that comes in parts, but we'll get to that in a sec with our fanboy stuff. Now, anyway, so the Ass Deer ties us up to the Shift Inspire, which was one of the modules you wrote for the stream. Was that this year or last year? No, it was this year. It was 2021.
This year, yeah. Shift Inspire started in February.
So we've got the Kickstarter, which is the player shield. Now I've got my player shield here, so I'm going to switch cameras and we can have a look in more detail what this is. But also, can we show off the? You sent me a picture of the dice. The dice. Where are we with the dice that comes with the Kickstarter?
All right. So they finished making. Okay, so what they've done is they've finished making the dice for the most part. They're all cast, they're all polished, and the numbers are all inked. So what they've got to do next is just print my Brain Beast logo onto it.
Yep.
And what we've done is, because the logo that's going on the dice is a monster, we've put them on the 1.
Right.
So if you see the monster, you done fucked up.
Yep. So
and so every person who got one of the player screens will get one of the dice.
Here's the dice as they are at the moment, as they stand, and you can see if you focus your eyes behind the hand, there are loads. How many did you have to order?
1,000. We made 1,000 because that's how many That's how many base set of screens we were making.
Yeah.
And then because we funded so well, we got to make 2,000 screens.
Nice.
Wow.
So I'm not going to run out in 9 months like I did last time.
Yep.
But yeah, every backer that backed for a physical screen is going to get one of these dice. Cool. And then the remainder will go up on Etsy, and you'll be able to buy like a 1 set or a pair of Advantage dice.
Yep. Nice. Right, so let's talk us through the. This is the. Oop! I've just knocked the camera. There we go. This is the player shield. Now we're on the table facing side. We have the mimic screen.
Yes.
Which is also your artwork. I love this big system.
I'm having a lot of fun with that at the moment. I'm turning it into a skateboard design.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen someone.
Yeah. I can't wait to finish that. That's probably the one I'm going to order first when I order one for going on the wall.
Yeah. There we go. And you've got this creepy ass eye in there as well. Look. And it's actually a lovely size. I mean, this is, you're not going to see it on the small camera, but look, it's a nice size. It's not the full screen as big as like a DM
It's about
shield.
half the height of a DM shield.
Yeah.
Yeah, each panel is an A5 page.
Yep. So you have conditions, you've got important information, and on your turn.
Was it tough to decide what you put on there?
It was, actually. Like, I had a lot of input. I had a lot of people telling me, oh, you should put this on there. Oh, you should put this on there. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, for you, who's been playing for 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
that information is relevant. But this is designed as a universal guide.
Yeah.
It's designed to be accessible and helpful to anyone, regardless of what level you're playing at.
And I keep this in my player bag. This is in my go out bag. So this is with me every time because it is. It just sits on. It just sits next to me. It's there. And it's strange. You get information. You get those kind of blanks in your memory, and you go, okay, what's your currency conversion? Well, actually, my player shield says it's this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was the point. I wanted it to have as much information that was universally relevant, regardless of what species, what class, and what level you're playing at. So I wanted it to be obviously useful for beginners, and because that's what I was at the time when I designed it.
Yeah.
But also useful to neurodivergent people, especially to help us with our memory and concentration issues. But as I was developing it, I also wanted to make sure that it was just obviously helpful to anyone, whether they're first-time player or they've been playing for 20 years. Just to have all of that information that a lot of people say, like, oh, I completely forget this all the time. I've been playing for so long. It doesn't come up that often, but every time it does,
Yeah.
I completely forget what it is.
Yeah, I've
And it's just
block
all of
on
that.
Exhaustion, so seeing that you've got that on there is great.
Exactly.
I can never remember the exhaustion rules ever.
Exactly,
Oh,
and that's exactly what I was going for with it, because I wanted it to be helpful for all of that core information.
Well, Joe in live chat, he's just put in there that he's played it with his kids. So again, it's a great introduction for kids. Oh, it's basically anyone who's new to this game. Doesn't matter about age or anything, but it's just so familiar.
I've had some people that said, like, I've been playing since 2E, and like I've been playing 5E since it first came out, and I need this because I keep forgetting all of these things.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's just there to be helpful for everyone. So I had to be really particular about what I put in.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to put in stuff that was particularly relevant, especially like some people were saying, oh, I want this, and this. I'm like, players don't need that information, though.
Yeah.
That's DMing information. This is for players.
It's a lovely site. It folds flat. It's brilliant. It's absolutely lovely. It's proper cardboard. All nicely done. All nicely printed.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thickness and weight as the actual DM screen, just smaller.
Yeah. The current 5th edition one. Then we also have so this was the original version.
That's V1.
Yep, and we've got the new Kickstarter on its way, which we should get by the end of the year. Are we still on track for end of the year?
Everything's supposed to be shipping this week to me, I think.
Yeah.
So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with COVID shipping.
Okay.
I'll be keeping the Kickstarter updated. As soon as it leaves the factory, I'll be letting everyone know that it's on its way to me.
Yeah.
And then once it is on its way to me, I'm going to be getting into my Australia Post back end and starting to generate everybody's shipping labels and getting the envelopes ready and getting all of that stuff set so that as soon as they get here, I can just start shoving them into envelopes and sending them out the door.
Because there's also, I'm also a backer, so I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on that copy. But it also comes with it's the extra bits as well. So we get the dice, but you need something to put the dice in. The dice tower
the screen comes with a nice little black bag with a version of Brian the Brain Beast printed on it.
Cool.
And then depending on what people back for. Some people got this.
Yep.
Which is the mini screen dice tower, which just hooks on your screen.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of the changes that I made in the version 2, is where your leveling up table is on that one. I halved it and stopped it at level 10.
Yeah.
Because most new players don't really need to know past level 10 until
it's true.
a ways in. Even a lot of experienced players don't even bother playing past level 10.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever played a top level game.
Yeah, me neither. So I halved that and stopped it at level 10 and moved that down a bit so I could insert another bit of artwork in there.
Yep.
And where that artwork is a space deliberately created for this to sit without covering up any important information.
Yeah.
And I love this. This is made by Glowcraft Australia, good friend of mine, Chris. And it's just...
Nice.
And I love it. I use it every time I play with you guys.
Yeah. It's a nice idea. And now you also had, for the Shifting Spire, you also had one made up for that as well. This was the custom job, wasn't it?
And here it is.
That is so nice.
Isn't it? He designed this based off my concept art. He saw my concept art and started designing it immediately because he was excited and sent me a preview of the render. I was like, okay, we need to do something with this.
Nice.
And it's got the little gate at the back. Dice goes in the top at the front. And this is the tower that the badgers climbed in the Shifting Spire.
To level 8. There's me forlornly staring out the window, ruining the fact I didn't get past that trap in time.
Yeah, you got about here.
Yeah.
But I remember, we didn't get to the dome. You did show us a lap to the dome afterwards.
Yeah, you would have been in for a fucking time if you got to the dome. You were going up against a Glabrezu and like 6 intellect devourers.
So I wanted to ask a few more. So we're coming up to the end of the hour, but I wanted to ask a few more things as well. So, as well as all of that, you've even found time with your time at Ardent as well. You've made First Speak, which is not Arkenforge, sorry. A custom-made adventure for Arkenforge, or using Arkenforge maps for First Speak. So now we have one of our guys is going to be running that as well. Hopefully before Christmas. So we are looking forward to it. We're gonna Nick. We'll sort out all the training and stuff that you need. But the idea is literally a first time DM can pick this up. So here we go. We found a first time DM for you. Who's gonna
get me a good fucking time, innit?
So we're gonna sort that out. It's gonna be a live streamed event. We got our team ready. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. But I wanted to make sure that we got that mention.
It's a level 3 adventure.
Yeah.
And it's designed to take 2, maybe 3 hours, depending on how much players dig around.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's 4 sessions in.
Yeah, it's a real basic. It's designed to either be a nice intro for first-time players and first-time DMs, or just a relaxing break session in between big parts of a campaign for more experienced players.
Cool. We've actually got the logo.
More experienced DMs.
The logo is now on screen as well, so the Hunger of First Speak is there.
Yeah, and it's sort of a you save the town, very basic sort of save the town story with a bit more comedy and some nasty stuff in store for players. I'm not going to say exactly what type of players because I don't want to give it away, and I don't want your team to not make that particular type of player so that they miss out on the fun. But let's just say I almost killed Bill from Beetle and Grimm's in one shot.
Nice.
It was exciting, but I also felt real bad.
No, that's fine. He can take it. He can take it.
He failed just the one wrong perception check.
Wow.
Oh no.
Now, there's something else that we both have a love of, which is you've been posting about it as well recently. Is Transformers. Now, you
Yes.
recently did a Megatron.
I did.
Is it on the shelves behind you, or is it within reach? Or that is brilliant.
So this is the Flame Toys IDW version
Yeah.
Autobot Megatron. And I decided I wanted to do a custom paint job.
Yeah.
Instead of just it came like various tones of grays, black and red plastic. Even this actually had like a little bit of a glitter in the plastic, which was a really nice touch, but I wanted to make it proper shiny. So it took me about a month to finish all up because I started painting it. I did the base coat and then I needed to like do the wash and then dry brush it.
Yeah.
Like you guys know.
Yeah.
You got to dry brush your original colors back on a bit after you do the wash. And once I got to that stage, finding the time to sit down and do the dry brushing was kind of a pain. So my brain just went,
yeah.
And I did nothing for 3 weeks on it. And it sat on the floor next to the dining room table because I had a different like cutting board basically with each set of pieces in different colors on each one.
Right.
And by some miracle, I didn't lose any. I thought I did. When I was building it, I thought I'd lost a piece. And then the next day I came back, sat down on my chair and I was like, ow, what's digging into my ass?
It's Megatron.
And there was the piece. It was a piece of Megatron's foot poking me in the butt cheek.
There you go.
So for some reason, somehow I didn't notice it. Like I had gotten up and down, up and down, up and down many times while I was building it that night. Couldn't see it, couldn't find the piece. It wasn't until the next day that I sat down and sat directly on the fucker. Because this part of the leg
Yeah.
is 16 pieces.
Oh wow.
Whoa. No, it's a lovely piece. I've been watching the photos. That had nothing to do with this. It was just we're both into Transformers. That was all. So
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to talk to you about it.
Yeah. Now I highly recommend all the Flame Toys IDW models because the IDW designs are fucking mint. They're so good. Their Bumblebee has this cool like helicopter backpack jetpack thing going on.
Oh,
It's really cool.
I'm gonna have to see if I can have a chat with these people. I think.
And if
See
you
we can
haven't
get
read
one.
those comics, read those comics. The
Yes.
IDW run from like, it was a long run. It was like 2005 through to 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So good. And again, as I said, that's Autobot Megatron.
Mhm.
So there's a whole thing there.
There is a whole thing. It was a something you won't see coming. Now, right, we're gonna start wrapping it up there. But before we do, we go and one last question which came through from chat earlier. If you could take any character from outside the D&D TTRPG world and bring them into D&D, who would it be?
Oh, fuck. All right. Snuffles the Indomitable.
Okay, now you're gonna have to explain that.
I am going to explain that. That's actually my character from the graphic novel that I am very slowly working on. And I am planning to bring it into D&D at some point and play it. But also I want to bring him into some of my adventures as an NPC.
Cool.
He's an anthropomorphic pug warrior. He started life as an ordinary pug. And then his owner was murdered. He got into the potions cabinet and drank up some potion that was on the floor, which was a polymorph potion. And it mutated him into a half human, half pug creature. And he swore vengeance. And then the story is like a journey of him realizing that it's not vengeance that he needs. and actually overcoming his own issues and trying to save the world.
Wow. And when is
And
that?
that was
When are we going to see this, Sean? When?
That one's a ways off, because I started writing it a while ago, like doing the world building and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, this is a bigger project than I thought it was going to be originally. I thought I was writing like a single issue one shot sort of story. That I'm like, oh, actually, to tell this properly, it needs to be bigger. So to write this properly, I need to learn more about writing.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I've been writing some shorter stories. So next year, I'm going to be writing the expanded version of a short that I've already written that I pitched for an anthology earlier this year, and I didn't get in. So I was going to make that this year. And then I was like, you know what? If I'm going to kickstart to pay for this, I may as well hold off till next year and kickstart to pay for the 40 to 60 page one shot instead of a 10-page mini, then rewrite it into the one shot and then refund it to do the big one shot. So I've postponed that. That was going to happen immediately after the player screen Kickstarter fulfillment. But I'm like, no, I'm going to hold that off and finish writing that next year and kickstart that towards the end of next year. And that's called The Network Man. And that's my 70s aesthetic sci-fi spy story. It's going to be really fun and really silly. But instead, this year, I'm working on an anthology book of cryptid stories. So my first one of those, which the art is already done for. I'm working on the coloring at the moment. I should have the colors finished by next week, I reckon. I've got a design for my thread list to finish today after this. And then I can get back onto coloring that, because I'm working on The Man Who Found the Future, which you've seen some previews of, which is a 3-page sci-fi comic written by Ryan Lindsay. He gave me that script way too long ago, but then university happened, and then a pandemic happened. And so because it's not a paid project, like a professional project, it's just a portfolio thing, I've had to put it down, pick it up, put it down, pick it up, while I did stuff that I could get paid for. So it's taken me way too goddamn long to draw 3 pages, but it's almost finished. I should be able to finish inking that over this weekend, and then next week I can start coloring that. I've got a letterer on the hook who's just waiting for the colored pages. He's already done a preview of page 1 with the lettering, and it looks fucking amazing. Nice. So I'll be sending that off to him. So that'll come out on social media real soon. The Mothman Moves, which is my 2-page mini comic that I wrote, and Minerva Fox, Blue Troller on Twitter and Twitch, did the art for. She's done a fucking incredible job with the pencils and the inks. I think I've shown you a preview page of that. It looks incredible, and I'm going to be coloring that this week, and then I'll send that off to probably the same letterer I think I got on the hook for that, and then that'll come out on social media. But that will be hopefully going into the cryptid anthology book. But it'll be like the sample comic that I use in the Kickstarter to pitch it.
Nice.
And yeah, it's the Mothman Moves, and it's a 2-page dramedy about Mothman.
You are a super busy, superhuman being, Sean.
I am. And right now, literally right now, I'm writing the Loch Ness Prankster, which is one of the other ones that's going into the anthology. So it's going to be 10 short stories that are going to be between 1 to 4 pages each. And then that's going to be the comic, and that's going to go on Kickstarter hopefully by December. But it might be early January, just depending on how long it takes me to finish fulfillment and build a Kickstarter page. Because I want to make sure that all the scripts are done before I send it to Kickstarter. So that as soon as the Kickstarter's over, I can just send those scripts to the art teams. So, I'm going to be drawing 1 out of 10 stories. I don't know which one yet. I haven't decided. But the UK artists that I mentioned earlier that worked on Crowded are going to be joining me for one of the stories. So pencils and inks for that are going to be done by Ro Stein, is going to be on pencils. And Ted Brandt is going to be on inks. Speaking of which, has Thought Bubble UK already been, or is it coming up?
I don't know. Steve, you have to
I think it's coming up, but if you are in the area and are inclined to go, they will be at Thought Bubble. I remember seeing them posting about it recently.
Yeah.
So they'll be at Thought Bubble. Go ahead and go see them. They've got some physical copies of some of their comics, and they're just the sweetest people in the goddamn world.
Yeah.
They're really kind and incredibly talented, so skilled. Ted's inking just blows my mind. I wish I could ink like Ted.
This weekend we've got this weekend in London we've got MCM Comic Con.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know about Thought Bubble. Steve,
It's the
just put
13th
the
and
link on
14th of November.
there. There you go.
But Baron just posted it in chat as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, next month they'll be at Thought Bubble. If you're inclined to go check them out. Go see Ted and Ro and tell them that I sent you. And you know, I don't know what Ted's favorite snack is, but give Ted a snack for me, and give Ro something too, because they're really nice people and they deserve all of the treats in the world. But they have put dibs on the Drop Bear story.
The Drop Bear.
I haven't written it yet, but as soon as I just gave them a list of what cryptids I'm going to write, and they're like, yeah, we want that one. So I'm going to be covering Mothman, Nessie, Drop Bears. Hang on, let me just pull it up so I can just quickly tell you. I really wanted to make sure I talked about this today because I'm very, very excited about it. It's my first ever comic that I've created and am putting out into the world, like actual published book. And how the Mothman one has come out, I am thrilled and delighted. So I can't wait to finish this and put it out into the world. And then next year I'll be doing the Network Man. And then maybe the year after I'll finally be able to sit down and write Snuffles. Because I hit a stumbling block when I first did a concept cover for Snuffles and realized, why did I write a comic about dogs? I've never drawn a dog before. And I'm trying to decide at the moment whether I want to draw Snuffles, because this was my original intention, it was going to be a solo project for the sake of having done a complete comic by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Just as I want to do this. Once in my life, I want to do this. I don't care about the rest of them, but I want to do one comic that I've completely written and drawn myself. So I'm still not sure if I want to do that or if I want to work with someone who can draw dogs way better than I can. But it's a fantasy comic, by the way. Like it's a fantasy set in not a post-apocalyptic world, but a post fossil fuels world.
Yeah.
Ah.
So it's a far future where essentially capitalism has collapsed. There's still currency and trading and all of that, but like capitalism as we know it and the kind of society that it creates has collapsed and everything's gone green. But not only that, magic has come back. So all technology is a fusion of science, green energy, and magic. With like crystal batteries and stuff, and like cybernetic horses pulling carts, and but yeah, for this book, the working title right now is The Little Book of Beasts.
Nice.
I've got a few other potential titles I'm tossing up, but that's the one I'm leaning to right now. And we've got The Mothman Moves, The Loch Ness Prankster, who I should be working with Adam Markowitz with, who is the artist for another one of my favorite comics, which I think I've told you about before, Dave, which is Broken Bear, which is written by Frankie White, who was the writer for Project Starless Daydream that I worked on. And it's like $7 on Comixology. So if you want to go buy Broken Bear and read a really cool comic by a really great team, it's a really, really awesome fantasy comic. I recommend it. And I recommend anything that Frankie's written. Frankie is actually going to be the editor on the Network Man.
Nice.
For me. So that's really cool. I'm not sure if he's going to work on Little Book of Beasts with me or if I'm going to work with a different editor.
Yeah.
We haven't had that discussion yet. But that's what's going to happen. But yeah, we've got Mothman, Nessie, the Jersey Devil. And that one's going to be fun. I've got something really funny planned for that, which you two are going to appreciate. And the title for that one is Wet Your Whistle. And then I've got the Kelpie. Getting a little back to my roots there. Beware the Drop Bear. Malevolence and Magpies. Because I don't know if you two know much about Australian magpies, but they can be your best friend. They're really smart and really clever birds, and really they can be your best friend, or they can be the devil incarnate. If they decide they don't like you, they have just murder in their eyes. The Hook Island sea monster, which is a Australian cryptid I only recently found out about, which was really cool.
You have enough work here for the next couple of years, Sean.
Well, yeah, I do. That's why that's exactly why Robin and I are sitting down. Like, yeah. I do. You don't even know all the other projects that I have got in my head that these are things I'm going to do. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
And so I tinker a little bit here and a little bit there on everything, but when it actually finishes and comes out is a different story. But this one is being written this year. Whether it hits Kickstarter this year or next year is a different story. Yeah. If it is next year, it'll be January. But ideally, I want to sort of wrap it up before Christmas so I can send the money off and the scripts off to the artists in January.
Yeah.
And the last 3 cryptids for this book is the hoop snake, Bigfoot, and the Loveland frogman. And so I've been doing a lot of fun research. A Google search the other day was, can you camp at Loch Ness? And yes, you can camp at Loch Ness. It's actually, they've got quite lovely glamping setups. With a view of the... I was like, ooh. Robin and I saw the little igloo tents that they've got there with a fireplace in them and stuff. We're like, yes, that. Well, let's go there and do that. But I'm going to be doing a bit of research on the Kelpie and probably talking to some Irish folks for sensitivity readings, because even though it is technically my heritage, I have never been to Ireland. So, like, apparently you can trace my family back to the Blarney Castle.
Ooh.
Like, we built it. And then we gifted it to the Queen. And it's funny, though, like the story I read, because I went to my grandmother's house and she had a whole story about our family and the history of the Blarney Castle up on the wall. And apparently it was a stronghold of our family, the McCarthys, back in the day. And apparently the term Blarney for smart arsery and whatnot comes from the head of the clan at the time being an absolute dickhead smartass and loving to play jokes on people and just talk shit. And so, you know, like, as soon as I read that, I was like, oh, so it's in the genes then.
You're the descendant. You've got it.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that makes sense. But it's just like, okay, so yeah, here I am in Australia, barely making rent, and someone down the line gave away a castle. Thanks for that, Granddad.
If it helps, I have a castle as well. It's North England. It's called Castle Creswell, and it's literally a pile of ruins. Supposedly haunted. It's on the ghost trail, so we could go there. We could go do that. And there's a small village called Creswell Village, which has an ice cream parlour. We can go there. We'll just maybe just pop in and visit. We'll compare castles. Right, and on that note, we are going to leave it there. We've gone over the hour slightly. But Sean, as always, it is an absolute pleasure. We have, in the new year, we're going to be starting up some new playable campaigns again with our usual kind of guest spots. So I'll hit you up with some dates, some games, and then just pick a date whichever suits. There's another early start for you. But or then again, maybe if we did it as a recorded show, it might not be.
Yeah, we could.
Look, like I said, for the badges, I will get up.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Like I think we had a chat about it, and I said I would get up every week for the badges.
Cool.
Because I really love everything that you guys are doing for the community, and I love hanging out with you guys and playing games.
Yeah, that might now happen. We'll have to see what we can do.
Sounds good to me.
We've got a lot of stuff coming. So we need players who can be there. So that'd be cool. Right. On that note, we are gonna leave it there. Sean, as always, thank you so much for joining us. and tell us about yourself. This is fucking hell. I hate these faces. The evil ones are nasty.
It's the spider one. As soon as you don't crack the spider one out, it'll be right.
Oh, I can't find that one anymore. I accidentally unfavorited it one day, and I haven't been able to find it since. And my favorite mustache that I used to use on stream, I accidentally unfavorited that, and it disappeared.
It's all gone. Right. And on that note, we're going to see you later, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This will be up on YouTube very, very soon. Until that next time, bye-bye. There's our next evil villain. We have to say, here's our beholder. Is he a bad guy? Well, wait and see. Right. See you, everybody. Take care.